if you want to tickle my uvula, pick my brain, or potentially rub my taint, I will tell you why we should take NIJ with a grain of salt.
So what's the standard size and what should you get, Jake?
The standard size is 10 by 12.
Cool.
And you should get 10 by 12.
Jacob Dines.
Nolando Meeks.
Hola.
Hola.
So today is the day of all days, and we are going to be running a little podcast-a-rooney on armor and body armor.
Welcome to the 2A Procast. Today
Hello,
we will be discussing armor of the body varietal, all armor, really.
Yeah.
Probably except for vehicle armor.
Yep.
And I find that there's been a lot of questions around body armor. I want to answer them. I do have some opinions on body armor, why it's made, where it's made, who it's made from, how we make our armor, and general body armor topics. If body armor does not interest you, this may not be the podcast for you, but you may still find it incredibly informative because body armor does fall under the Second Amendment as arms that you wear on your person. So we are going to discuss it today, everything from making it to what it does, what it means, how it's tested incorrectly and correctly. And I'm excited for today's podcast because I have a strong opinion on body armor. And we're going to do this in a little bit different format. I am going to go off on some tangents and talk about some things that I wanted to talk about, but you have developed a list of questions that you're going to be asking me. I'm going to answer those. I have not seen these.
Correct.
I'm just going to answer them to the best of my ability off the top of my noggin.
Off the noggin of the top.
Indeed.
Yes, I've got some questions for you here, good sir, which I have written down on this piece of paper.
I want to preface it, and hopefully this doesn't fuck with any of your questions, but I want to preface today's episode of 2A Procast with an opinion about body armor that I have.
Ooh.
For all those out there.
I like.
The things that I like and don't like about the industry. I'm just going to kind of cruise through those real quick.
Breeze through.
The negative that I have about body armor, and some of you may cringe because I'm going to say the word regulation. The bad thing about body armor, in my opinion, is that anybody can actually make body armor and sell it to you as body armor and tell you that it stops a certain threat. And there's nothing regulating them from telling you that and selling it to you. There may be some civil liability that you may have where somebody could potentially receive body armor from a manufacturer that says that it will stop a certain threat, and then it does not stop that threat. And they die and their family can come back and then sue them. So there's some civil liability involved, obviously. But any kid in his garage can make body armor and sell it. There's nothing saying that anybody can't. Now, on the flip side of that coin is the positive. It's a very low barrier to entry. Anybody can go out there and start making body armor. Again, so can the guy that has a plate carrier and throws a phone book in it and said, this will stop a bullet. But anybody can also figure out how it's made, and hopefully they truly do their homework about it. And shameless plug, Tacticon is going to release through the 2A Pro courses that we are doing, how to make body armor, how to start a body armor company, things that I can reveal that are not complete trade secrets, but I will probably be giving more information to the internet than anybody else out there, because everybody truly holds that stuff close to the vest. But I want people to be able to innovate and develop body armor. Body armor is probably the one area of the Second Amendment, as far as like the gear goes and the guns go and the armor. If you're talking about body armor, it is the one component of the industry that has not seen a ton of innovation over the last couple of decades. It's actually remained fairly stagnant, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Things will get, a tenth of a pound lighter or something here and there with some new material that gets put out. But
we haven't come across like a revolutionary new material.
No, there was that
like
dragon skin that came out not too long ago.
That sounds awesome.
It was, I don't know, it was like maybe early 2000s, something like that. Oh, interesting. So that's cool. So Jason Jason just looked it up, and apparently the issue with dragon scale or dragon skin armor was the scales began to delaminate under heat, and based on the conflicts that we were in at the time, which was Iraq and Afghanistan, there was some obviously
heat.
you've got some pretty high heat out there, and the heat index can get up to 120 degrees. And you don't want your armor delaminating, but apparently dragon skin is making its way back into the market, and it was pretty cool. I mean, it was like one of the first pieces of armor that I actually saw, like as far as body armor goes, that was able to stop a 50 cal round, which is incredible. Pretty sure just the sheer energy behind that would kill you anyway.
Yeah. But it stopped it.
Don't recommend it. But this is the cool thing about the body armor industry. Anybody can get into it. There's no barriers to entry. There's no bureaucratic red tape. Now, before I get lit up about, well, there is regulation. It's called the NIJ standard. Yes, there is the NIJ standard, but
that's not a regulation.
NIJ is not a regulation. You don't have to get NIJ certified to sell armor.
That's right.
Right. And one of the reasons why we decided to certify the steel armor that we have is because there was just so much shit talking about steel that I was like, you know what? I'm going to go certify this armor so that the government body that regulates armor and whether or not it does what it's supposed to do, which is the National Institute of Justice, will say, hey, this stops what it says it's going to stop. I would probably at this point turn it over to you. I just wanted to make that very clear that there are disadvantages and advantages of this industry out there. Be careful who you get your armor from. There's also no regulation on importation of armor. Right. So anybody can import armor, or somebody that claims, like, let's say some Chinese company claims that, yeah, this is body armor. Go ahead and buy it from me. You can purchase that. And if you don't test it and you don't go through the proper channels to make sure, which is an NIJ testing lab, to make sure that armor stops the threat that it's advertised to, you could be in some serious hot water. Mm-hmm. Not with the law, I don't think. I don't know how that really works, but I know that you'd be civilly liable if somebody got hurt. So
yeah, that would be a no bueno.
Yep.
All right,
definitely.
So let's start with my first question here, which is a question we see online quite a bit. 10 by 12 inch plates or 11 by 14 inch plates? Why would you want a smaller plate when you could get a larger plate?
3 reasons: weight, cost, and mobility. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's obviously going to be lighter. It's going to cost less because you're using less material, and it's going to allow you for more mobility, not just because of the weight, but because of the way it sits in the carrier. Obviously, you're going to have more movement with your arms, with your hands, right? With your
torso, with your trunk,
with your torso, right? You're able to move around a little bit better because it's occupying less real estate on your torso.
Right.
So,
but wouldn't an 11 by 14 give you more surface area protection?
It does indeed give you more surface area protection. What it doesn't give you is it does not give you more organ protection. Because your organs, regardless of how big or small you are all in the same place.
They're pretty crunched in there.
They're all packed in there, right? So you've got all your arterial junctions in your chest, like in your heart, and all the things that you're attempting to protect with a body armor plate on your chest are all within that 10 by 12. That's kind of why it's the standard, right? You get that 10 by 12 standard because regardless of how large you are, even if you're a really big dude, the fact is that your heart is pretty much in the same place and your lungs may be a little bit bigger, but we're talking a matter of a half inch here, an inch there, right? And it's not from what I found and from what I've researched, and believe me, I'm not the final say on anything. If there's a doctor out there that says this is absolutely not true, I would love to know, and I would love you to reference something that proves it, because I will eat my words. But from what I have researched, everybody shits in the same place in their body, and you put a plate on the chest to protect that shit. So as far as surface area goes, yeah, it does offer you more protection for the flesh that is outside of those vital organs, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't want to take off a part of your massive pectoral muscle, then get a bigger plate. But just know that you're going to be paying more for it. It's going to be heavier and you'll have less mobility.
Right.
Yep.
And then
body armor is meant to save your life.
Right. So what's the standard size and what should you get, Jake?
The standard size is 10 by 12.
Cool.
And you should get 10 by 12.
Enough said.
Yeah. Now, I do want to say that back when I was in, there was really no size differentiation, right, when I was in the military. But now they do have different sizes. And honestly, that is probably more so not to protect vitals, but just to offer protection, keep somebody in the fight. Because believe me, you get shot in the chest outside of that vital organ area, right? Because, your plate was a little bit smaller than the 11 by 14 guy. It's still going to take you out of the fight, probably.
Most
right?
likely.
You just got shot in the chest. But you're most likely not going to die. I think it would be smart for somebody that wants to, going on the other end of this, that wants to be able to stay in the fight and just have more surface area protection. Sure, there's nothing wrong with getting 11 by 14 plate.
Absolutely.
Just know that if you get shot outside of that area, it's probably not going to kill you.
What makes a good armor company, and what are things to look out for in said armor company?
I would say either independent testing or lab testing. So one really good thing to look into for an armor company is if they have NIJ ballistic lab data. Does it have to be certified? The NIJ certification helps. It most certainly kind of validates the company that they've gone through the certification process. But if there are lab reports and lab data that back up their claims that it'll stop that round, they should have it posted like as a PDF or something of that nature on the actual, on the page or somewhere on the website that you're able to find it. You should have NIJ lab data or proof that you have tested it yourself in a NIJ emulated lab, right? So here at Tacticon, we have a lab that emulates an NIJ lab. We are not an NIJ lab, but we have a lab that emulates it. Like we went up to Oregon Ballistics Laboratory. They very grateful that they allowed us to access their facility. We were able to kind of document everything they were using, what kind of screens that they were using to measure the velocity of the bullets. We kind of saw the size and the shape of everything. We saw the universal receiver that they were using and how they measured out the powder to get the velocities that they wanted to. And then what we did was we completely replicated it, right? Because we wanted to be able to make armor, test that lot, and know that whatever lot that just got finished did exactly what we were going to tell the customer it was going to do. Right. And so we do that with every single lot that comes off. We do lot testing. We check the lots. We validate them, which is actually when you're NIJ certified, what's interesting about that is they'll come out and do a fit test, which is basically like it's kind of a random test that they'll do on your plates a couple times a year. Right. So they'll come out, they'll pull a couple random samples, they'll test them, they'll make sure that you're still making armor that stops the bullet. For us, they do that for our certified stuff, but we also do it with every lot. So it's kind of doubling down on that. In fact, our independent testing is far better than the NIJ testing coming out. So if you have a company, if there is a company out there that you're getting body armor from, and they do independent testing either in their own lab or another lab because they're lot testing every single thing, that's actually great. And that's actually almost better than NIJ lab testing because, they may have, what could have happened is a company could have produced, 4 lots at 500 plates each, all different material. It's all the same material, but it's all coming off different lot runs, right? So the NIJ may have just happened to pull 2 plates from the good lot, and then maybe they've got 3 bad lots, and they just kind of lucked out, but it's still certified because that random testing qualified. What people really want to see is, does every lot get tested? Are they independently testing every single lot? And I'm not talking about going out to the range and shooting a plate that you set up against a tree, like going out in the woods and, taking an AR-15 and shoot. Because when you take a rifle or a pistol and you put a plate up against a tree and you shoot it, you don't know what velocity of the round, or you don't know what the velocity of the round is. And when you don't know the velocity of the round, little or nothing can be done to tell whether or not that armor does what it says it's going to do.
Meets its qualification for the specifications.
Yes, because energy is the thing that kills armor.
Right.
And energy is measured by mass and velocity. So what's the mass of the round? How fast is it going? That's what kills the armor. How big is it? How quick is it going? Right? And if you can't measure the velocity of the round, we all know the grains of a bullet.
Right.
We all know the standards for the NIJ as far as how big that bullet needs to be. But if you don't have a way to accurately measure the velocity of the round, then you're essentially not doing anything. Right? You might as well not even shoot it. Right? Because there is armor out there. If you put XM193 in it, it's going at a high velocity. It will pop a hole in it, but maybe something else that goes a little bit slower, like a green tip, wouldn't pop a hole in it because, the SS109 typically travels at like 2,900 feet per second as opposed to the 3,200 feet per second that's coming out of an XM193.
Right.
Right. And what barrel length do you use? Are you using a 16-inch barrel? How do you know that it's coming out at 32, 3,300 feet per second? You don't.
Yeah.
Right. You don't know that unless you actually get the data. So that is a long-winded answer, but testing is incredibly important to answer your question. Make sure the company that you buy it from has significant, at least NIJ testing, but more importantly, independent testing that they can prove.
So then segueing onto that about the NIJ and why independent lot testing can almost be more beneficial than the NIJ, why is the NIJ so important?
Have you ever, well, I will tell you why we should take NIJ with a grain of salt. It's because have you ever worked with the government?
Yes.
Do they make mistakes?
The government makes more mistakes than any agency I've ever worked with, ever.
Exactly. But the question was,
why is the NIJ so important?
The NIJ is important because it sets a standard for mainly police departments, right? So civil, right? So if we're talking about public peace officers, if we're talking about medics, EMTs, firefighters, they're all going to kind of go with that NIJ standard, right? The military actually doesn't care about NIJ. Of course, NIJ is a good starting point. Let's build the armor around NIJ, but the DoD has completely different testing in mind. And oftentimes it is more of a built to order type testing. Like, you know, you get a SOCOM contract or something and they'll say, well, we need this particular armor to do this, right? We need it to float. We need it to be under a certain weight. We need it to blah, blah, blah. But we don't care about back-face deformation.
Right.
They may not give a shit about whether or not there's the 44 millimeters of back-face deformation.
They just want it to stop the hole.
We want it to stop the bullet, right? And we want it to be light. We want it to be buoyant. Maybe those are the things, those are the criteria that are set up for that particular contract. With NIJ, it's very standardized. So you can make NIJ armor and then know that if that armor is NIJ certified, that armor can be sold to any police department as per their requirements because they require their armor to be certified. That's why the NIJ is important, in my opinion, is because it creates some sort of a standard that most armor companies can set as a benchmark to develop good armor.
Nice. Very nice.
It's very nice.
Very nice. I like. Wow. Okay. So then moving on to that, talking about the NIJ and continuing forward, our lab process and why it's a step above. Tacticon's lab process.
So our lab process, when other companies test the armor, they're not doing two main things. One, they're not controlling the velocity of the round, which is incredibly important. And two, they are not putting it on a clay backer, which is also incredibly important. The reason why it is important to have clay behind it, and not just any clay, there's a specific type of clay that you use. It has to be a specific type of temperature. It has to pass the drop test to show that it's within parameters as per NIJ, like I said, a good benchmark, a good starting point. And because when you have clay up against the back of the plate, then and only then will you get a true depiction of what it would be similar to as if it were on a human body. So these guys are just, they're taking a 2x4 and they're strapping it to a 2x4, and then they're taking a rifle and they're shooting it. You don't know the velocity, and it is not up against the proper substrate to give the same results as you would have against a human body. Right. And that is why we are different, because we have clay boxes. We have clay boxes kept at temperature. We do drop tests on our clay, just like an NIJ lab. We have screens. We have Euler screens, the same screens they have in the NIJ lab that measure the velocity. We have a universal receiver, the same receiver. If you guys don't know what that is, a universal receiver is basically just this block of steel that you can screw a barrel into, and it does one shot at a time. We have an ammo loading station. We use the exact same powder that the NIJ labs use so that we know exactly how much powder that we put into that round to send it within the plus or minus 30 feet per second that the NIJ allows. Typically, when you get, what'll happen is, like, let's say you have level 3A body armor. You have to have that round coming out at a very specific velocity. That velocity is 1,440 feet per second, if I'm not wrong, and it is plus or minus 30 feet per second. And you have to get that consistently for all 6 shots on that plate for it to matter. Right? Then you have to measure the back face deformation on it. You can only measure the back face deformation on it when you have clay that is at the appropriate temperature, that has been packed down enough, that has passed that drop test. I've never heard of a company out there that has done what we are doing and independently testing that like we do it and has emulated that NIJ lab. There are armor companies that do have like ballistic type labs. I just can't speak to whether or not they are done.
None that we're aware to this degree.
No, none that we're aware to this degree. I mean, we have done everything we possibly could to standardize our lab with the NIJ labs out there, right? And that's what makes us different. And we test every lot that comes out, right? Every lot that we have, we are trying to get an accurate depiction of exactly if we get material from a particular supplier, like the raw material that we use to make the armor, I need to know that that lot of that raw material does what they told me it's going to do. Because otherwise, I'm just taking that company's word for it, that they gave me the raw material that's going to do what it says it's going to do. I have to be able to test that. So with every lot that comes from them, it was all produced in the same, lot or week or day or however long, right? It all comes off one lot. They've got it all marked up for you. So what we will do is we'll say, okay, that is a particular lot. And then we will take that lot, make our own lot through the production process. Because what if my pressure wasn't high enough in the hydraulic press, right? So what if I'm pressing the polyethylene and we were off a little bit, right? What if I was under pressure? I was under PSI. We don't know that. I mean, we know that because we have established protocol within our own manufacturing process so that those things don't happen. But I can't guarantee that there were no mistakes made in the process. That's where the lot testing comes in, and that's why we are different, because I make sure that not only was the lot of the raw material was sent to me, our lot of production is tested. And we know that every other plate that comes out in that lot is going to be effective. How many times can you say lot?
A lot. You can say it a lot.
Anyway.
But moving forward with that, let's start talking about how armor is made a little bit.
It would really depend on what type of armor you're talking about.
Let's talk about
there's
ceramic.
Four ways to primarily make armor.
All right, hit me.
Cuatro.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
So if you're talking pistol rated armor, it's typically soft armor.
I'm never soft.
And the way that armor is made is you take layers and you mix them up.
So what is generally soft armor made of?
Typically soft armor is made of aramid and polyethylene, a mix of aramid and polyethylene, of which you use one material to be the strike face, really, to kind of like mushroom that round out. And then the other materials to catch the round like a net. 3A armor can also be hard. It can be pressed, right? Which is generally when you do that, it's pure polyethylene.
Kind of like this here.
Exactly. It's a level 3A plate. This is pressed polyethylene right here that I'm holding in my hand. And once the back face deformation on this is usually a whole lot better than you will get out of a standard soft armor. You can usually make it a lot lighter too, because once you press something, it becomes a hell of a lot stronger. And it actually, the ballistic properties are better, but it's obviously less comfortable.
Right.
It's usually lighter.
So that's 3A armor. What about like level 3 or 3 plus?
So level 3 armor, just pure level 3 armor means that it can take a 308 round.
Correct.
7.62 by 51. And then if it can take a 7.62 by 51, if it can dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball, right? So if it can take a 7.62 by 51, it'll usually take a 55 grain FMJ. It'll take a 7.62 by 39 and any pistol round. That is typically the same thing. It is pressed polyethylene.
Just mounded up and
That's
pressed.
it. Pressed polyethylene, and then it's covered. Oftentimes you'll find a foam backer so that it can mitigate the back face signature, and then it'll be wrapped usually in a nylon. We do nylon, and we have a TPU system.
So let's go on to level 4s. Let's talk about level 4s.
Level 3 plus.
Oh, level 3
So
plus.
to go from level 3 to level 3 plus is actually not an actual NIJ designation. Level 3 plus is an industry designation.
Correct.
So it's something that we had to give ourselves as armor manufacturers in the industry. And I'm not talking about Tacticon. I'm talking about all armor companies kind of have their own brand of level 3 plus.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same thing across the entire board. And the reason why we had to do that is because there's nothing within the NIJ that dictates for a green tip, right? So a 5.56 green tip round with a steel core penetrator in it. And because of that, and because this round is so prevalent, so ubiquitous, and so many people have it, people often want to stop that threat. So that is usually when you see level 3+, that means it will stop the 308. It will stop the 7.62 by 39, but and the 5.56, but it'll also stop the green tip.
And if I am correct, it also stops the mild steel core 5.45 as well as 7.6239, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Typically, you will find that it will stop those. I think primarily, and that's where it differs, right?
Right.
Some people's level 3+ does different things because there's no actual standard behind it. Different level 3+s will do. You see a lot of marketing between armor companies will do things like this is a level 3++. 2 pluses, right? Yeah. Or I don't know, I haven't seen a level 4- yet, but
I would love a company out there to do level 4-.
But what all that means is that you get that same pressed polyethylene that you would have with a level 3, and there's a ceramic strike face. The ceramic strike face is usually fairly thin. It's usually a very thin millimeter, very light ceramic strike face, just enough to break up the steel core penetrator inside that round. And then getting up into a level 4, I've never seen a level 4 that didn't have a ceramic strike face. Every level 4 that I've ever come across or seen in the industry has a ceramic strike face, usually a fairly thick ceramic strike face, and that's because that plate has to be able to stop that right there, which is a 30-06 armor piercing, 30-06 AP or M2 AP round.
A spicy meatball, some may say.
Spicy meat the ball, if you will. Usually most level 4s that you see are not multi-hit. They're single hit, meaning that it will take one hit of a 30-06 AP, but it will take multiple hits of all the other rounds. Going back into how many rounds you need for certification for all the other aforementioned levels, it's 6, right? So NIJ certification, if you were to certify a plate, it has to be able to stop all 6 rounds, right, while maintaining that 44mm backface signature, and the 30-06 AP level 4 plate only has to take one shot of a 30-06 AP, but you can guarantee that it'll stop all the other rounds up to 6 shots. There are multi-hit level 4s out there, but you have to be careful because people will declare their plates multi-hit, and while they may stop multiple rounds of 30-06 AP, they will not pass the backface deformation test for multiple rounds of 30-06 AP. And the reason why is because once you crack that ceramic on the front, all bets are off.
Right.
Right? If you send that round through a crack in the ceramic, it may break up most of the round, but usually what's happening is, and it may still stop the round, but it's not going to stop the backface deformation from going beyond the 44mm mark.
So along with that, we talked about some levels. Can you talk about the most common from 3A, 3+, SRT, and level 4? Can you just give a brief overview of what those stop and what they're kind of intended for?
Yeah, just kind of a quick run through.
Yeah, just a little quick run through.
Level 3A, pistol rounds up to 44 Magnum. Level 3, rifle rounds up to 308, not including green tip. Level 3+, 308 and green tip. Level 4, 30-06 AP. Now, what's unique about that is, or not unique about that, rather, what I was trying to say is what's interesting is there is also an in-between the level 3 and the level 3+, also referred to as in fact, not even between level 3 and level 3+. I would venture to say that it could be between level 3A and a level 3, or between a level 3 and a level 3+, there's something called a special rifle threat plate. We make one.
Correct.
Right? It's an SRT plate, a special rifle threat, or different companies call it different things, right? And it will be very specific to a particular set of rounds. I'll give you an example. Our SRT plate, just the SRT plate, it's super light. It'll stop rifle rounds.
Isn't it 2 pounds?
Yes.
2.2 or something?
Yeah, it's just under 2.5 pounds. So you got a 2.5 pound plate that'll stop 5.56 FMJ, 7.62 by 39, and all pistol rounds. It'll stop a 308. It just fails the backface deformation for the 308.
Right.
And then you get into the SRT Plus. And the reason why you want to do this, the reason why this is specific to, the reason why you would want to get into an SRT plate is because, let's be honest, how many people are out there running around with AR-10 shooting 308s?
Well, the internet would say a lot, but I don't think they can
I've
run.
Seen it. I see it all over the place. And the other thing too is you're talking about a certain velocity, right? Muzzle velocity.
Right.
Right. So that round has to be able to be stopped if the muzzle velocity is X amount of feet per second. But if you're getting shot with a 308, you're not going to be at the muzzle velocity as designated by the NIJ.
Probably
Typically,
not.
a 308 is going to be shot from usually a minimum of a few hundred yards away.
I'm assuming
couple
so.
hundred yards away.
I'm assuming
Even
so.
100.
These guys have this sniper mentality for
Right.
sure.
And if you're getting hit from that far away, the velocity of the round has diminished by at times up to 50%.
Right.
I think it's for every. No, that was the inch. I don't know that there's a pattern though, and it is not linear. It is definitely
It falls
like
off.
logarithmic where it falls off pretty rapidly. You know, from 400 to 500 and 500 to 600, you'll see this massive velocity drop. So typically, if you're talking about these larger rifle rounds, do you really need that 308, or will your SRT plate, your special rifle threat plate, still stop the 308 even within backface signature requirements? Because chances that you're going to be getting hit with that round are A, slim, but B, probably from fairly far away, where the velocity is slowed down enough to where, I don't know, you might even get pistol rated armor that's able to stop that round. Right? Because you're going to get down there. If it's far enough away and you reduce that velocity below 1,400 feet per second, odds are that it could potentially stop that round.
Right. If it can stop a 44 mag at 1,400 feet per second,
Yes.
and it's a 308's traveling at 1,100 feet per second out at 800 meters,
Right.
it might be able to stop that
Correct.
round.
And it would be really cool testing for us to be able to do that. I want to be able to do that. I actually want to start getting into testing more velocities, like really, really low velocities with rifle rounds, and saying, hey, like if you happen to get shot at 500 meters with this particular rifle round, you'd actually still survive. It's good information.
It is.
You never want to market it that way.
Right.
But it's
It would be
good
interesting to know.
It's good information to people to have, especially depending on the environment that you're at.
Right.
Right? If you're out in the country and there's an opportunity for you to get, for you to take a round from at distance, right? Especially out in some open, arid area, then it may be more beneficial for you to have a lighter plate to where you can move faster, get behind cover faster, but also know that it will stop those threats at distance.
Right.
Just a thought, right?
Right.
Level 4s are pretty standard, or I say level 4, right? NIJ level 4 in quotations.
Not special level 4 plus 5.
Yeah, right. Are pretty standard for the military. So DoD pretty much says level 4 contract,
Level 4
level
bust.
4 plates. Yeah, you usually have to be able to stop those larger rounds, especially because obviously you're in combat. Odds of somebody using armor piercing rounds are probably pretty high. So you gotta. They're way overbuilt. And they're usually pretty heavy, depending on what unit you're in.
Right.
The SOCOM guys get all the lightweight, high speed $2,000 plates, but
Well, I mean,
regular Army guys
Yeah.
will be lugging around a 7-pound level 4 all day.
yeah. Get fucked. So let's get into a little spicy topic here.
Okay.
Something that is quite controversial on the interwebs.
Okay, wait for it. If we're going to be going into that, I do want to talk about typical weights that one might find
Yeah, let's talk about
real
it.
quick,
Let's add
because
the
I
weights.
brought it up. Usually the weight ranges that you'll find is a level 3A pistol rated plate. A level 3A pistol rated plate will typically weigh anywhere between 1 pound to 3 pounds, depending on if it's a soft vest,
Right.
right? That's covers more surface
Full
area,
wrap.
or a hard plate like this that typically weighs about 1 pound. Then you get into level 3 plates, the bigger ones, the thicker ones. Those usually come in around 3 pounds, right? But the problem with those is they're very, very thick.
They're chunky.
They're chunky, right? You get level 3 plus plates that are usually come in at about 4.5 pounds, 4 to 4.5 pounds. And then you'll find the level 4 plates coming in at, really high speed, low drag,
Level 4,
lightweight
Level
ones.
4 at 4 pounds about.
I've never seen one at 4. I've
Like
usually
4.5.
usually seen them 4.5, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
They're really expensive at that point, right? Shaving a pound off of a plate is incredibly expensive and almost cost prohibitive unless you're doing it for some sort of government
Yeah.
agency, right? You're talking about going from 6 pounds to 5 pounds requires a different type of ceramic. That's one thing we didn't talk about, or the type of ceramics. You get aluminum oxide for most of your plates out there. Most people out there that bought affordable level 4 plates have aluminum oxide strike faces. Then there's silicon carbide, which is a little bit lighter, and that's how you get into that that 5 to 6, or I'm sorry, that 6 pound, 5 to 6 pound range right in there, like 5.5 pounds, 6 pounds. Now, when you start getting into that 4 pound level 4 range, that 4.5 pound level 4 range that you're talking about, those are going to be boron carbide. Now, those strike faces on those plates are going to be incredibly expensive just for the ceramic. That doesn't even include all the material that's going behind it, right? So you're talking about the difference between a strike face that would cost maybe $40 to $50 and getting into the next level of silicon carbide. And you're talking about a strike face that would maybe cost you $175, and then a strike face that would cost you on the highest end up to $400, right?
Yeah.
Just for the raw material.
Right.
Just for the strike face, just to shave a pound. And when you look at it from the consumer end of it, by the time that plate is built, you could be spending an extra $1,000 to shave a pound, right? And is that extra $1,000 worth it to you for that extra pound? I venture to say no, but obviously if you're high speed and you're doing this stuff every day and you are in the elite, forces and you're constantly kicking down doors, then you're gonna every ounce matters.
We also talked about this when you're having to hike miles and you're up for 36 hours straight.
Right.
It's a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So I just wanted to go over the weights real quick. And then when you get into your SRT and your SRT pluses, those typically range between 2.5 and 3.5 pounds.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So are you ready for the controversy?
Yes.
Are you ready for the spice?
Hit me with the controversy.
Steel versus ceramic. We need pros, we need cons, and we need to know why people hate steel so much.
Well, I will tell you at the end of this which one I prefer, but I will tell you right now that the pros to steel armor are going to be, let's start with the cons. I'll start with the cons with steel armor.
Yep.
It's heavy. That's it. That's all I got. It's heavy.
It's heavy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Period. So you probably figured out by now which one I like better, because the only con that I have found with steel armor is that it's heavy. Genuinely. As long as it's done right. And I'm going to twist some panties up out there.
Now let's talk about what that means.
Let's start here. Here are the internet's cons about steel. Steel will get you killed. Steel creates fragmentation, or spalling as they like to call it. They will go up into your neck and into your groin. But the reality of it is,
Can I put out there really quick, just a little insert, how we put out a steel armor video showing, literally giving them diagrams of what fragmentation and spall is, and they still got it wrong.
Yeah. You were showing them like, hey, this is fragmentation, this is spalling.
I literally
Here's
gave
the
them
difference.
Graphics
And people were still,
and video of it.
They're probably just trying to piss you off, man. Let's be honest.
Everybody's trying to get at me these days.
Everybody's trying to get at you. So the internet will tell you that steel will get you killed because of the fragmentation, and they are actually right if you don't have the right coating on the front of it. The difference is if you put a buildup coat of polyurea coating on the front of a plate and it's done right and the plate is prepped properly, then what you will find is you can dump almost an entire mag of 5.56 into it, and it will capture almost every single round that goes into it. It's pretty incredible. So weight. That is the only negative thing that I've seen about steel. It's just, it's a little bit heavier. But what's interesting about steel is it's really not that much heavier. Like, I'll give you an example of our armor. Our AR600 steel level 3 plus, it will stop. I've had that thing. We've shot 300 Win Mag at it, all sorts of different rounds, right? 7.62 by 54R, and it stopped all those rounds. And it weighs about 6.5 pounds. So if it weighs 6.5 pounds and your level 4 plate will only stop one more round on top of that, which is a 30-06 AP, right? That's really, but who's shooting 30-06 AP at you? So if you've got a level 4 plate that stops 30-06 AP, most people's level 4s are, I mean, if you're getting a budget level 4, it's going to be 8 pounds.
Yeah.
A little bit, if you're going to spend another couple
pounds,
spend another $100 and you might get a 7-pound level 4, right? And if you're paying $300, $400 a plate, you might be getting a 6-pound level 4. But even that level 4 is about the same weight as steel. And so what I've seen on the internet is level 4 ceramics all the way. But the reality is once you crack that ceramic on that level 4, then that plate is compromised. You and I have sat in that room and dumped magazine upon magazine upon magazine into steel. and never popped a hole in that armor.
Correct.
If I shot a level 4 plate multiple times in the same region, like within 2 inches of one another, I could probably penetrate that plate within 2 or 3 rounds.
I think it's important to note for those who are listening as well, for the rounds they are rated for.
Yes.
Right. Because like you can take a round that the plate's not rated for and pop a hole in it. Just
Right.
like you could take a 50 BMG and plug a hole straight through level 4.
Yeah.
Right. It's for the rounds they're rated for.
Yeah. I mean, it's there to me. Here's the other thing is when you get into composites like polyethylene and I wanted to create composites, right? We wanted to manufacture composites and polyethylene and ceramics because our customers were asking for them. And so I did it. But there was a real kind of fundamental reason why I wanted to get those done is because until I started manufacturing composite armor, I didn't really have a leg to stand on as far as an opinion about steel. Mm-hmm. I could have a far more effective opinion about steel armor once I started manufacturing the composites because now I have both. Now we make both.
Right.
Now my opinion matters more because it's not so biased. Well, of course you like steel. You only sell steel.
Right.
That was what everybody used to say. Well, not now. Now we make both and I still like steel, right? I'm not saying that I would wear steel all the time. Oftentimes when we go out to the range, I put like SRT plates in because where am I? I'm at a range. I'm at a range where we're shooting 5.56
and
right?
9mm.
We're 55 grain FMJ and pistol rounds.
Yep.
So I'm going to put my SRT plate in. It's light. It's easy to move around and it will stop the highest threat round that you and I have out there, which is 7.62 by 39 and 5.56
Correct.
FMJ, right? So shit hits the fan though, steel, straight up, hands down. I would take nothing else with me. If somebody was like, the world is collapsing, you need to grab some armor and take it with you. I don't have to worry about it cracking. I don't have to worry about it getting too hot. I don't have to worry about it, getting some organic or inorganic material on it and compromising it.
Getting soaked through.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like there is nothing better and more effective than steel armor. I know that if I took that steel armor with me, it would last me for the rest of my life, period. I never have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it getting dropped. You don't have to worry about it sitting in your hot car or whatever it is, right? And then, if that was the last thing you took with you in the end of the world situation and that plate got shot, you could get shot again and it could get shot again,
and
right?
Again.
And again.
And again.
Because when you are in that situation, you're buying armor for the reasons why a lot of us buy armor, which is like the fucking world implodes. And this one of the last things you can take with you to protect yourself. Once you get shot with a ceramic plate, that's kind of it. Like
right.
your guess is as good as mine as whether or not it's going to take any more hits, especially if you get shot near the same place.
Right.
But
there could be a lucky double tap that happened.
And there's expiration dates on those armors, on those armor. And the reason why there is because not so much because the armor won't work after that amount of time, because what it is, it's the raw material in it is warranted by the manufacturer. That's another very interesting topic here that I wanted to bring up. People will see warranties on the back of their armor. That warranty indeed is from the manufacturer, but it's actually a recommended warranty from the manufacturer of the raw material, right, that is giving it to you. So when you see a warranty that exceeds 5 years, almost all raw material out there is warranted up to 5 years. So when you see 6 years, like ours, or 7, I forget what we put on ours, but when you see a 10-year warranty on armor, that does not mean that the manufacturer of that armor is guaranteeing that it's going to work for 10 years. Mm-hmm. That is their way of marketing to you and saying, like, hey, like, we're going to give you a 10-year warranty on this. I hope it works in 9. Do you see where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. They are not the manufacturer. The warranty comes from the raw material manufacturer. And I think people get that wrong a lot. I think we pushed it out an extra year or two for some of our raw material is because we know, based on the experience that we've had with our raw material suppliers, that it actually will go to that, but they don't warranty it up to that. So, you get these guys with 20-year warranties on composite armor. I don't even know what the fuck they're thinking because they haven't had 20 years to warranty that product. They don't know what that product that was created 3 years ago is going to do in 20 years.
I've got an idea what they were thinking, but I don't know if I want to say it.
What?
They're thinking, you will just buy it.
Well, yeah.
They are thinking the majority of people that are buying their armor will never use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will say that, we've had an opportunity to test old armor, and I've talked to people who have had an opportunity to test really old armor, and funny enough, it still fucking works.
Wow.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's just that
It's just the warranty period.
doesn't mean that, 5 years and 1 day goes by and it's going to pop a hole.
Right,
It just
and it'll
means
fall
that,
apart.
based
what
on the
they're
scientific
guaranteeing it
testing
to.
that they did, they know that it's completely effective and says what it's going to do within that time period. Exactly.
After that, they don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So where were we on the topic before I went down the warranty rabbit hole? Steel versus ceramic.
Steel versus ceramic, pros and cons.
Okay.
Yep.
So
You gave me the pro and the con of steel.
it's heavy.
It's heavy. And
The
now
pros
let's
are-
talk about the pros.
The pros of steel are, it's almost always less expensive.
Yep.
It's multi-hit, if not, I don't even know another word for. It's like infinity hit. I've
Damn
put,
near.
It's damn near infinity hit. Eventually, you're going to start knocking the coating off of the front of it.
Yep, that'll happen.
I would venture to say, I haven't formally tested this, but I would venture to say that it is less energy absorption. It's going to hurt less when you get shot with steel than it will when you get shot with a composite armor. The reason why is because the shooting steel is completely different than shooting composite armor. Composite armor absorbs the energy, right? So you shoot the composite armor, it takes the round, it catches the round, and then all of that energy gets pushed into the human behind it. Where steel deflects the energy, right? The energy hits the plate and then goes left, right, up, down, right? Usually within, and hopefully within, if it's a good manufacturer, the coating on the front of the plate instead of out of the plate carrying into your neck, right? Again, I don't know for sure, but just based on my, small knowledge of physics, I would expect less energy to be transferred to your body with steel. Now, keep in mind this, right? There's backface deformation on steel and backface deformation on composite armor. When you shoot steel armor and you see a small bump in the back of the steel armor, and I know this to be a fact because we've measured it, that doesn't mean that backface deformation is only 2 millimeters because there's only a 2 millimeter bump on it. You get this thing called spring with steel or any metal really, right? So the round will actually go into it, and I know this because we measured it against clay. The round will go into the steel armor. That steel back, the back of the steel will bulge out and will create, up to, I think 34 millimeters backface deformation with our AR-600, and it's like 28 millimeters with our AR-500, right? Because the AR-500 is a little thicker. So it may appear as to be 4 millimeters of backface deformation, but it's actually 34 millimeters of backface deformation.
Because it springs back into place.
Yeah, it sprung back. And you find that because you have to measure the clay behind it. So whereas composites, you'll get a more true, there is still spring with some composite armor, right? So there is polyethylene, depending on what company you're using. Some of it is more rubbery, I guess, and some of it is just harder polyethylene, right? So depending on what temperature it was pressed, was it done in an oven? Was it done in an autoclave? Was it done in a press, right?
Right.
What you'll find is there's a lot less spring back on composite armor than there is on steel.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
Now we need the pros and the cons of ceramic.
Pros and cons of ceramic. The pros are it's usually lighter. It's the obvious one. I do want to go back to steel real quick and talk about one of the other cons. Okay. And this is a huge difference between steel and ceramic. And so all those people out there who prefer composite plates, I can get behind them with this one thing. Really hot rounds out of a 55 grain FMJ. Like if I took a 24-inch AR-15 and I put a hot XM193 round in it, and I sent it out at 3,400 feet per second, 3,500 feet per second. If you can get it to those velocities, it will pop a hole in steel where it wouldn't in ceramic. So the really hot velocity stuff, really hot rounds can pop a hole in steel, right? It's just a matter of like, how often are you going to see that?
Right.
Which I don't want to deviate from getting into the pros of ceramics, but I also want to say while it's on my mind that 94% 94 or 97%, Jason could probably help me with this, of all firearm related incidents happen with a pistol, right?
Yep.
It's in the 90th percentile, somewhere in the 90th percentile of all firearm related shootings happen with pistols. So really, if you were to get at least one thing that is going to provide the most effectiveness, it's going to be level 3A,
Right.
pistol rated stuff.
And then you got to think to yourself, if we are facing an enemy outside of a potential daily threat, whether that be foreign or domestic,
Right.
we're looking at 16-inch 5.56.
Yep.
Or we're looking at 16-inch 5.45.
Exactly. Done. That's really
Yeah.
That's really the majority of everything you're going to need to stop, because you are in the 99.9th percentile if you're talking about, oh, well, what if I get shot with 30-06 AP?
It's like, well, then you pissed off the wrong farmer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like to believe, well, if there's a shit hits the fan scenario, I would like to believe that not everybody is just going to go out and start killing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pros of ceramic plates, of composite plates, really. If you're going to run a composite plate, let's just start with level 4. Like, you could pretty much be guaranteed that level 4 is going to stop literally everything out there, regardless of the velocity that's coming out of an AR-15, regardless of whether or not it's an armor piercing round. You know that if you get a level 4 plate,
It's kind of like a buy and forget.
It is. You are covered. It is going to stop everything that you could possibly stop. That is the benefit of ceramics, right? I really like that. They're oftentimes too, like if you really want the heavy stuff, like the 8-pound ceramics, they can also be pretty cost efficient, right? They could be inexpensive.
Yeah.
Right. You're sacrificing weight.
You could get like a, maybe 150, 200 pound plate.
$1.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, we're in America, not the UK. but a couple $100 usually. You can find we're developing a budget level 4. Right now we have a 7-pound and a 6-pound plate. Obviously the 6-pound's more expensive than the 7-pound, but we're doing an 8-pound budget plate that's going to be level 4, and we're trying to price it at right at $150, right? So it's a decent price. The disadvantage of a lot of composites, especially composites that don't have ceramic strike face, is obviously anything with a steel core penetrator, you're going to be able to pop a hole through it. They're not multi-hit, right? But again, going back to the pros, they're typically lighter. So you can get really lightweight plates. Now that we're talking through it, I thought of another disadvantage of steel. If you are maritime for some reason,
You sink,
right? So steel armor obviously is not buoyant, whereas polyethylene is actually neutrally buoyant. Yeah. Neutrally buoyant meaning, it is not going to be a life preserver. It is not going to float you to the surface.
but it's also not going to drag you to the bottom.
It is not going to sink you.
Yep.
So especially with a thinner ceramic on it, you could even have a thinner ceramic on it and it still won't sink you. Used in conjunction, polyethylene used in conjunction, even with a thicker ceramic level 4, you'd probably be better off in water than you would with steel, for sure. So some things to think about, right?
So shit hits the fan scenario.
Yep.
World's ending.
Yep.
What type of plate are you going to take?
Steel.
Day to day, what type of plate are you going to take?
SRT.
There we go.
Yep. You know that with a special rifle threat, it'll stop rifle rounds and pistol rounds.
Yep.
Done. And it doesn't, I'm not worried about 308 on a day to day.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Like when you and I shoot 308, typically, especially like when we're out at the range, it'll be static.
Yep.
Yep.
It
We're
is
both on the same
spotter
side.
shooter.
We're not,
Yep.
That's it. We're not running around the range and, pointing weapons at each other like we usually are.
Yeah, because we're super duper dangerous.
But yeah, I mean, that's, I've got a lot more to say about armor.
Yeah, please
I just don't know if I have the time to say it, unfortunately, because I've spent the last hour talking about the different levels and the weights and the things like that. But if you guys are, if anybody is curious about how it is made and how they can get into it, obviously we're going to be making it'll be part of the course. We're doing a 2A Pro course on that, and so feel free to sign up when it's released, and we will show you all the whys and the wherefores. But yeah, that's basically all I got for armor. If anybody has any questions, I'd like to do another video on body armor. I really do. Another Procast, another 2A Procast on body armor. those are some of the questions that I know you and I have come across that we just answered today. But I want to hear it from anybody listening today.
Ooh,
like what
leave
questions?
some questions
Yeah,
in this one.
leave some questions in this one on what you guys want to hear. And if we get enough questions that we can facilitate an entire podcast about, then I'll do an entire podcast around those series of questions that happen in this video right here. So let us know, and we will do another one. And other than that, I believe that you and I bid thee acquiff.
I bid thee unaquiff.
I wanted to talk about one last thing that I find a little bit dangerous in the body armor community, and it is the influencers that are like peddling body armor.
Ooh.
And the way that they test them. And one of the things that I have noticed, the reason why you can't watch, and a lot of these guys, a lot of the influencers that do this, I really like them, and I listen to them for a variety of reasons. But these guys will get a hold of these plates, and then what they'll do is they'll tape it to a tree, or they'll tape it to a cardboard box, or just set it on a folding chair, and then they'll shoot it. And then that plate goes flying, right? They put a 308 in it, and the plate goes flying back 20 feet. What's not happening when it's on your body?
It's not flying back 20 feet.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of stuck to you.
Exactly, right? So if you don't give any resistance behind the plate, and you're just putting a round into that plate and letting it sail back 20 feet, it's not actually doing what you're not giving it a proper test. It's not against a body that's going to have a little bit of give, but obviously not all the give, right?
Right.
The tests that you probably want to pay more attention to, the most effective tests, is if they pack clay behind it, right? Which very rarely they do on social media or on YouTube. If they do pack clay behind it, even if it's not at the right temperature, right? At least they've got something behind the plate that kind of emulates the human body, right? That has a little bit of give. Or if they set it up in a way like maybe up against a tree where it conforms to the contour of the back of that plate, right? If they shoot it against that hard tree and it doesn't go anywhere, it's actually, whatever they've demonstrated is actually probably better off than doing it on clay because there is no give, right? It's just a tree.
It's just a fucking tree.
Exactly. So, but whenever you see body armor get shot and then go flying backwards, don't even take all of that with a grain of salt.
Because there's not the maximum energy absorption.
Yeah.
Because you got to think, bullet hits the plate starts moving immediately.
Right.
It doesn't enter and then find a certain spot and then go, okay, now I'm stopping.
Correct.
And then fly off.
Right. So I want to draw a parallel into something that we can all kind of like understand, right? Which is if you were standing in the road and there was nothing behind you and you got hit by a car, or you were standing up against a wall and you got hit by a car, what would hurt worse? What would be more impactful? What would kill you faster?
Definitely getting hit against a wall.
Right. So that's what happens when you're shooting a piece of armor against a solid structure like a tree, right? You're actually allowing the armor to do what it's supposed to do, which is, again, I wouldn't use a tree. You got to use clay, but still it's better than just setting it up against a cardboard box or something and letting it fall over. You really want to create that force behind it, because if you get hit at 5 miles an hour or 10 miles an hour up against a wall with a car, that could potentially kill you. If you get hit at 5 or 10 miles an hour, not against a wall, it's not going to kill you.
You're going to flop.
You just kind of fall over. You take the impact, you absorb the impact, and you're able to move backwards. And it's the same thing that's happening with armor and with rounds. So you just got to be really careful when these guys test it. They're like, oh, this is good. Not only do they not know the velocity of the round that's coming out, they might not be using the same grain, right, of round that they should be using, but they have also got it up against a cardboard box. And so it's just, you can't really get on social media and say, oh, well, Demo Ranch tested this armor. I love the guy. He's very entertaining, but he's not an NIJ lab. Right. So I get it. He's, he might be trying to shill that armor, but at the same time, go to the actual manufacturer site, see if they actually have NIJ lab data. What testing are they doing?
Right.
And that's really the only thing I wanted to add for that. I think we just got to be careful where we're getting the information from. That's
correct.
All. Yep. And if you want more information on this, if you want to ask me, pick my brain, you know what I mean?
If you want to tickle your uvula.
If you want to tickle my uvula, pick my brain, or potentially rub my taint, you can find us on Discord in the 2A Pro group. We invite you.
Link will be down in the description.
We invite you. The link will be down in the description. You can ask me any questions you want. I will make a body armor channel, I think, to where any of your questions can be answered, and I will answer you honestly and critically.
And with that,
we bid thee
a quiff.